The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the African Peer Review Mechanism will be embarking on a 2-day retreat in Lusaka in Zambia to discuss the establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency. I am joined now by lead expert on credit ratings at the African Peer Review Mechanism, Dr. Misheck Mutize. Dr. Misheck, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Firstly, how do you think the African Credit Rating Agency can really help African countries facing challenges in obtaining credit ratings from international agencies?
No, thank you very much for having me on the program. So indeed, the need for this institution and the role that it will play has been crystal clear, because that position has been adopted by consensus by all the ministers of finance in the African Union. So this institution is seen from two dimensions as important to provide alternative opinions to the three international rating agencies, and also to widen the opinion space, which has been monopolized by the big three. And in another dimension, it's being viewed as very important to complement. As you may be aware that the African Union is also in the process of establishing its own three financial institutions, which are the Africa Central Bank, the Africa Investment Bank, and the Africa Monetary Fund.
So I do understand that the agency will provide additional rating services like environmental, social, and even governance scores. How might these contribute to the development of domestic financial markets on the continent?
Well, that might be too preemptive at this stage on the contents of the methodology of that institution, because at the stage that we are at now, we are in the process of defining the institutional structures, because we've got investors who are interested in shareholding in that institution, and also finalizing on the legalities of how the institution will be incorporated. But of course, there are dimensions to do with where the African governments have been feeling that it has not been paid due attention to, one of which you have mentioned, the issues of how the natural resources or the Africa's potential has not been incorporated in the process of reviewing the creditworthiness of African governments. So it's part of where we intend to explore as we strengthen the process of developing the methodology of that institution. But at this point in time, we are leaving that more to the shareholders that will be holding stake in that institution.
Dr. Mutize, with the agency being self-funded and sustainable as well, what measures are in place to ensure its independence, also its credibility, especially compared to international rating agencies?
Absolutely. So that has been one of the key areas that we have been emphasizing in our conversations and making recommendations to our principals, that there is need for independence to ensure credibility of the opinions that comes out of that institution. So that position is officially adopted, that the institution must be owned and controlled entirely by private sector, and private sector driven in terms of its need to make profit. And therefore it means it needs to prove itself in terms of capacity and also competence to compete in the space that is already defined by the monopolies. So we in terms of the independence of the institution, I think the interest that we have got so far of the shareholders that are willing to invest money, it clearly defines that there is potential for that institution to remain independent, as we have strongly indicated that it will be not in the best interest to have governments either directly or indirectly owning stake in that institution.
Now, considering the diversity of African economies, how will the African Credit Rating Agency tailor its own ratings to really reflect the unique contexts of different countries and regions on the continent?
Well, I think from a simple perspective is that the institution needs to have more presence in the countries that it is rating, be it at government level or corporate or sub-sovereign, which has been one of the issues that we have tried to engage the 3 international rating agencies on several occasions, that their analysts need to spend more time in Africa and appreciate some of the cautionary spheres that they are always skeptical about, to give confidence in terms of capacity to pay. So for us, if the analysts are based in Africa, their appreciation of risk perception is completely different than analysts that come for a review for a few days or weeks and flies out. You know, their understanding of perception of risk, be it they are acting basing on a news article that has been published in public press, it's very different from someone who is based here and takes time to navigate through the information that could be made available.
Let's speak about the retreat in Lusaka. I do understand that it will discuss the next steps in really operationalizing the agency. What key outcomes or even decisions do you expect, and how will these shape its establishment as well?
Well, this is a very critical step. I think it defines also the progress that we have made on this particular initiative. Because at this point, we have got several investors that are interested to take stake in the institution and also to support in terms of all the technical processes that needs to be undertaken. So amongst the issues that will be discussed is brainstorming on where the institution will be headquartered, and so the amount of capital that will be required to operationalize it, and the finalizing on the incorporation status of the institution, given that it's being established through a decision of ministers or policy organs of the African Union. So at this point in time, I think also it's good to mention that we have in line a transaction advisor that we are working with to guide us on the processes that needs to be undertaken to ensure that there are no blind spots in the implementation process. So I'm very confident that after this process, we should be crystal clear on the next steps that we need to be undertaking from now going forward.